The following is a Stars and Strikes doubles rebroadcast featuring some of our most memorable recent programs.
WNDS Sports and Tri-State Megabucks present Stars and Strikes doubles. From the Londonderry Bowling Center, Stars and Strikes doubles features the best Candlepin bowlers from around New England in team competition. Stars and Strikes doubles is produced in conjunction with the New Hampshire Candlepin Bowling Association. And now your hosts, Doug Brown and Dan Murphy.
Hi, everybody, and welcome once again from the Londonderry Bowling Center. Stars and Strikes doubles here on the Winds of New England. Doug Brown along with Dan Murphy. And if you were not with us last week, this is now week 2 of a brand new format that we're just giving a try here for the first time in the States. Candlepin skins. 4 bowlers completing individually. And we tried it for the first time last week, and it was pretty interesting. We get 2 bowlers coming back, Tim Lipke and Bob Kelly. But even though Tim Lipke was the overall pinfall winner last week, he only won $60 in skins money.
Yep, because he's the overall winner, though, he gets back and he has a chance to win a few more skins. Every box important.
All right, so Tim Lipke and Bob Kelly are back from last week. Joining them on today's program will be Scott Richardson of Hudson, New Hampshire, and Paul St. Pierre from Manchester, New Hampshire. If you weren't with us last week and you want to get a refresher on the rules of skins, we'll get you that. We'll get you that and get you figured out on all the exact rulings on everything, the way everything goes. And we'll get our 2-string match started here on Candlepin Skins right after this timeout. Don't go away. All right, for those of you who may not have been with us last week, or maybe for some of those of you who were and would like to see it again, here are the rules for Candlepin Skins. These are the basics. 4 bowlers on the show. They compete individually, 1 box at a time. In each box, the high box score will win the skin. Each skin, of course, each box, if you will, is worth a different amount of money. The skins carry over with ties. If at least 2 of the bowlers tie with the high score in any given box, then the money carries over. Now, in terms of total pinfall, we're rolling 2 games, not 3, but 2 games for each bowler. The top 2 scorers in total pinfall will come back next week. That's what happened with Tim Lipke and Bob Kelly last week. That's why they're here again today. Now, here is the carryover money situation. The first 3 boxes in each game are worth $10. The next 3 boxes are worth $20. The next 3 boxes are worth $30, boxes 7, 8, and 9, and then the 10th box in each game is worth $50. All right, here we go. Paul St. Pierre, one of our 2 new bowlers, is set to go.
Just misses the head pin to the right, and let's see, the 1, the 2, and the 7 pins.
Now Scott Richardson on lane 29.
And he's got the 7-10. Paul slides by. Now Scott shoot at the 7-10 for a spare piece, a couple pieces of wood in front of the 7.
Nope. A 9 for Paul St. Pierre. And for Scott Richardson, a 10.
So those of you keeping score at home, that 10 box right now is the winner of the skins.
And now the 2 guys that were here a week ago and had the highest total pinfall. Bob Kelly finished 2nd last week. That's why he is bowling next to last. And Tim Lipke, I guess in bowling terms, has the honor. In golf, it's the guy who goes first, but here it's probably the guy who goes last.
I should have said that Scott Richardson with a 10 is leading for the skin, not he won the skin. It's looking better, though. This for the tie and the carryover, Bob Kelly.
Got it. So we will definitely have a carryover after our first skin, an 8 for Tim Lipke. And there's the way we stand after 1. So the 2 10s cancel out. It's a carryover. The second box is now worth $20. And we go back to Scott and Paul. Remember, competing individually. And Scott Richardson with the big 9 drop.
And Paul off target to the left. Scott Richardson now in lane 30 for the spare.
Yes. Paul St. Pierre trying to get out of this with a 10 if he can, and he does. So Bob and Tim know that that spare is up there.
And Tim will shoot at the diamond leave.
And Bob will shoot at the 9-10.
Let's see where the wood settles down for him. But back to Tim for the triangle leave. Diamond leave, I should say.
Nope.
And no spare there. So Scott Richardson looking better and better for the carryover skin worth $20.
Oh,
Bob has something to say about it.
Bob Kelly takes it away from him. And who's first up off the bench to congratulate him? Scott Richardson. Great
This is a real fun game, Scott says. I was counting the money. Great shot by Bob Kelly to carry over the skin.
Paul St. Pierre. Oh, big first ball. Drops 9.
Yeah, Paul.
Scott in lane 29 off the target. Let's see what happens.
Oh, look out here. Look out.
For the spare for Paul St. Pierre.
His first mark. Will it hold up to win the skin? $10 for Scott Richardson. He's at 37 through 3. Bob Kelly working on a spare, and of course, he and Tim Lipke hoping to either match Paul's spare or perhaps win the skin with a strike. It's a 6 fill on Bob's mark. Tim just kicks out the 7 pin, but he's still got a tough shot. 2 tough shots there to try and match the spare.
And Bob's looking at the 2, 4, 7, and 10, and a piece of wood behind the 2 and the 4. I don't know if it has the angle to carry the 10 pin or not. Let's see. No, did, but he missed the object pin being 2.
And Tim can't make it either, so that's a $30 skin for Paul St. Pierre. So the first skins money has been decided.
Neither one of us had much to shoot at.
I heard Bob Kelly, neither one of us had much to shoot at that box, and he's exactly right. Both bowler Tim and Bob were on the head pin, but Scott Richardson misses the head pin, and look what we got. Just the 1 and the 3 pins left.
Paul on his spare drops 7. And a spare for Scott Richardson in the 4th.
Jump around.
For the spare, no. And it's a 7 for Paul.
So it's 43. Scott Richardson in the lead now with 47 plus a ball. Now Bob Kelly and Tim Lipke. Timmy will roll first on lane 30. And of course, to win this skin, somebody's got to throw a strike. Scott Richardson already posted a spare.
Bob Kelly with a big first ball. Extra pin fell for Tim Lipke after we turned away from lane 30, so he's now faced with the 1, 2, and the 7.
Now it's either going to be a carryover or Scott Richardson's going to walk away with it. Needs a spare to carry over. No, not for Tim.
This is a $20 box.
And a tough spare lead for Bob Kelly. 6 and a 9. Piece of wood's a roadblock, but oh, he steals another one from Scott Richardson. And it's another carryover.
And the 9 for Tim. So Scott and Bob each with marks up in the 4th. Move to the 5th. This will be now a carryover worth $40 as Paul and Scott step back up.
Sorry, Paul.
Paul St. Pierre. He and his wife Maureen live in Manchester with their 3 children, Jessica, Amanda, and Nicole. And Paul drops 9, leaving the 4-pin.
Well, last time there was a carryover, Paul walked away with the next skin, and he's trying to do the same thing, but let's see. 9-pin drop for Scott. Paul for the spare.
No. Scott for his 2nd spare in a row. He converts. And that's his 3rd mark already. And it's just a 9 for Paul St. Pierre. So again, Scott Richardson has a spare up. This is the 3rd time he's done it. The first 2 times it hasn't been good enough. He's been halved by Bob Kelly. This is a $40 box, the 5th box. Bob Kelly working on a mark. Takes 7. Boy, not a lot happening on that ball for Tim Lipke.
I thought maybe he was going to throw the strike there, but
No, Bob held on to that ball a little too long. This to have the skin? No. So Scott Richardson takes the $40 skin here in the 5th. And the 10 bucks for Bob Kelly. Tim Lipke takes a 9, and we pause right here. 5 boxes complete. As for the overall score, Scott Richardson is in the lead with that 2nd consecutive mark in the 5th. We'll be back with more on Candlepin Skins in a minute. Scott Richardson working on a spare as we return. This is the 6th box, game 1 here on Candlepin Skins, a 4 fill for Scott.
oh, that close to another one.
He scared it.
Paul St. Pierre sliding by the hit pin in the right, and Scott for the 10.
So he's at 80 through 6 now. 9 for Paul St. Pierre. So let's see if Scott's 10 holds up here with Bob Kelly and Tim Lipke coming up.
If I was a betting man, which I'm not, I'd say it's not going to stand up.
Well, we did have one case last week where a 10 stood up. That was the only time that a non-mark won a skin.
Sure, Tim, you heard me say that.
Bob Kelly.
Well, it's looking a little better. Although Bob Kelly might have an angle. Timmy Lipke for the spare.
Oh, yeah! Great shot. Tim Lipke with the spare in the 6th. And now Bob Kelly to try and match Tim. Ooh, and he couldn't convert on the wood. He was trying for it. Instead, it'll be a 9 box. So Tim Lipke takes that $20 skin, and let's have a look at the spare conversion. Terrific shot.
Missed by much.
Paul St. Pierre, lane 30.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a strike by Scott Richardson, crossing over the 1-2 pocket. Paul St. Pierre got a shot at this.
Yes. Almost flipped that pin out of the lane. And the spare there.
Right away, we got a tie. So it's going to take a strike to win this skin. Here's this replay of that spare.
That was Paul St. Pierre's
Paul St.
spare.
Pierre's, right? That's going to take a strike by Bob or Tim. Otherwise, we'll have a carryover.
This is a $30 box here, the 7th.
Uh-oh, watch out. I think the bowlers would have something to say about Bob if he got the strike coming back door on him.
Well, we're going to have a carryover here.
Bob for a spare. Everybody marked so far. Tim Lipke, you have to make a great shot.
Oh.
Almost does.
Wow.
Of course, that was 7 fill on Tim's spare. His first mark of the match, by the way.
And Tim converts the 10 pin for the 10 box. And a carryover with the 3 spares, so the 8th box is now worth $60.
Money climbing now, pretty fast toward the end of the game.
Scott Richardson fills his spare with 6. Remember, the fills on the spare do not determine the skins. You start a brand new box. Of course, it does. The fills do count in the total pinfall, which is another whole element of this thing. And Scott just misses.
Tens are good. Shot, Paul.
Scott takes the 10. He's at 106 through 8 now. And Paul St. Pierre, after filling his mark with the half Worcester, has to settle for a 7 box.
And now Bob Kelly and Tim Lipke go up. First Tim on lane 30. He's at 72 through 7.
This is on a mark, and it's just 5. I take it back. Bob Kelly is working on a mark, and he gets just 3. 10 is the high score in the box right now. Scott Richardson sitting on the 10 box. Oof.
Well,
Almost for Tim.
Tim has certainly got a shot at a 10 box. Bob Kelly for a spare, though.
What a shot! A $60 skin.
And what a shot.
A 10 box for Tim Lipke, but Bob Kelly takes the $60 skin with a spectacular conversion there. And for Bob, that's his first skin of the day.
You know, Scott and Tim were both thinking, well, looks like a carryover, and Bob makes a spectacular shot, as you said, Doug, and well worth the $60. In fact, probably was worth a lot more than that shot. Paul St. Pierre trying to get a mark up in the 9th.
No, Scott.
No.
Well, Scotty.
Paul St. Pierre takes his 10. This is a $30 box. The 9th box worth $30. Scott takes his 10. So we have a tie already. It's going to take a mark to win the skin. Bob Kelly is now going to fill that super shot he made for the spare in the 8th.
And possibly take over the lead. Well, he won't now, unless he converts this in the match. Don't forget that total pinfall, very important.
Well, Tim Lipke has a shot at getting the skin here, perhaps.
He's got the 9 pin up, but a difficult piece of wood.
Whereas Bob Kelly has a shot at the spare, too.
He just made a spectacular one before. This is nothing compared to that one, but he does not convert. But Tim Lipke has a chance to win himself a skin with this. No.
Not to be.
Tie with 10s.
Bob Kelly for his 10. That was a terrific 10 box. How about 4 10s? No, it'll be a 9 for Tim Lipke. So now, box number 10 is a carryover. It'll be worth $80.
Big box, $80 on the line. Just remember, if they tie in this frame, it'll carry over to the second game. Well, half Worcester right.
Get up.
Oh, how about
Worcester
that?
right.
Is there some sort of a bonus for that?
I guess they're really trying to carry over things. Well, through the middle.
Oh, great try. Look out.
Fell the wrong way.
Ooh.
Happened to fall to the right. Might have got the 6 pin for the spare. Oh, that's a terrific 10.
Great 10 for Scott Richardson.
Tens are good.
And a 126. Paul St. Pierre picks off his 10 for a 100. Let's check Scott's shot for the 10.
Great shot. So we're tied at 10s again. $80 box. Somebody needs a mark to take it. Tim Lipke, lane 30. Well, he's going to have a terrific spare if he was to win this skin. And Bob Kelly. And And he's got a little easier one, the 2 and the 10 with a piece of wood in between. Now Tim.
No. So?
It's up to Bob.
It's an $80 skin if he makes this shot. He does. Bob Kelly. The $80 skin. It'll be a 9 box for Tim Lipke, and now Bob, of course, will stay up there to fill his spare. You see Tim finishes with a 100, which ties him with Paul St. Pierre. The lead will be determined by what Bob gets on this spare fill. If he throws a 9 or better, he'll take the lead.
You're right.
Instead, it'll be a 5 for a 123. So the first game now complete. Scott Richardson in the overall lead at 126. Bob Kelly, though, in the lead in skins prize money. He's got $140 already. We'll be back with game 2 in a minute. Well, before we forget, let's remind you that in 3 weeks, the Doubles Tournament of Champions will begin here. Saturdays at noon here on the Winds of New England. Our first match in the Doubles Tournament of Champions, sponsored by Tri-State Megabucks, will be Tom O'Brien and Wayne Denon against Stan Mayo and Scott Richardson. What do you know? And then, of course, we move up the ladder. Ed Jorelman and Brian Fuller, our top seed, at 4:30. So don't forget, starting 3 weeks from today, we will begin the Doubles Tournament of Champions. As you see, Bob Kelly also involved in the doubles tournament as well. Paul St. Pierre to start game 2. You might have noticed that in game 1 we had both 2 bowlers up there simultaneously, alternating throws. That is strictly for time consideration. Trying to make a somewhat complex format here as easy to understand as possible. We know it's going to take a little time to get used to it, and believe me, it's taking some time for us to get used to it as well. There's a lot going on here, because with something at stake in every box, it causes you to have to pay close attention all the time. Scott Richardson now. This is a $10 box because there is no carryover from game 1, Bob Kelly having won that $80 skin.
And everybody with at least 1 skin already.
That's right. I'll tell you what, though, Bob,
Yeah.
Bob specializes in the big money skins, though.
He's taken a couple away from Scott.
Bob Kelly won the biggest skin we've had so far, which was $90 last week. And this week, he's already taken a $60 skin and an $80 skin.
And again, Scott Richardson posts a spare up there, so it's going to take a strike to win it outright. A spare to carry over. How about a carryover?
Oh, my. Scott Richardson looks back to us and says, hey, what do I got to do here? You're going to hear the comments of the bowlers from time to time. We have a microphone planted down there in the pit. Lots of interesting conversation going on during this format.
And that'll make a carryover because Tim did not throw the strike to trump that pair of spares that are put up there by Scott and Bob. So the next box will be worth $20.
As for the total pinfall situation, of course, Scott and Bob are running 1 and 2 right now, with Paul and Tim each more than 20 pins behind out of second place. So that's something we have to keep an eye on as well. Remember, the 2 guys with the highest 2-string total pinfall will be back next week. The other 2 guys that will be joining us next week, by the way, are our number 7 and 8 seeds, Dave Richards and Jack Sanick.
Get up.
Right in the pocket is Paul St. Pierre, and he leaves the 7 and the 10. Let's see where the wood settles down.
You would, Paul.
There's words of wisdom from Tim Lipke. Play the wood. Always a helpful hand from Tim.
Let's see if it works.
I don't know why I listened to him. And it's just a 9.
Wasn't there.
Scott Richardson working on a spare in the first.
Man, the big drop, all of them.
Will this be enough? See, there he goes. Here, Bob, top that.
Strike on spare for Scott Richardson.
I can't beat you with the spares. Let me throw a strike.
That's the first strike of the match, by the way. First one we've seen. Oh, did he do it?
Almost got it.
You see Scott in the background. He was shaking his head. He was wondering. 9 fill on Bob's spare and the easy second spare in a row.
What's important here is you see the 2 bowlers that were leading after the first string, Scott and Bob, are off to great starts here this second game. Tim Lipke needs a strike to have a carryover, to have the skin.
He's being urged on by Bob Kelly, but it's not to be. Scott Richardson will take a $20 skin. He now has 4 skins for $60 in all. As Dan mentioned, all 4 bowlers are already on the skins scoreboard here. Well, what's happening to Tim Lipke right now is what can happen to you in this format. He finished first last week in total pinfall, won just $60 of skins money, and now he's the highest seed in this week's show, but he's trailing in overall pinfall, and he's got just $20.
And Paul St. Pierre won our very first skin of this match and hasn't won one since. It was a double carryover right at the beginning of the match. Now he's looking at the 5 and the 8, and boy, it looked good until that second piece of wood came over.
On it.
Oh,
Yes.
That's a great shot. A lot more difficult than it appeared to be.
Third mark of the day for Paul St. Pierre.
Scott Richardson now working on the strike. Off target, but not a bad leave. The 1, the 3, and the 7, and no wood to help.
Let's see. Nope.
So Paul St. Pierre says one bowler down, 2 to go.
$8 for Scott. So now Bob Kelly,
which is the master of stealing skins so far today.
Bob working on a spare. Bob Kelly, by the way, has 7 marks in his first 12 boxes today. And he may have another one here.
Problem pin here could probably be the 10 pin. He needs this to tie for the skin, and he does. So it's up to Tim Lipke to throw a strike if he was to win, if he was going to win this skin. Otherwise, we have a carryover.
This is a $10 box, the third box. Again, the first 3 boxes of each game are worth $10 apiece. The next 3 worth $20.
There you go.
The next 3 worth $30, and the 10th box is worth $50. And we now have a carryover because Tim did not strike. And not only that, but he doesn't have much of a leave either.
3, 6, 4, 7, no wood.
$10 for Tim, but he needs marks. So the
He
third
does.
box is a carryover. Box 4 is now worth $30. The 10 from box 3 added to the 20 for this box.
And Paul St. Pierre working on a spare. He needs to make a move on the total pinfall.
Yeah. Come on.
Light hit, let's see. Will that come off the wall? Look at that pin roll back and forth. Look at that.
Now it's going to stay.
That's considered a piece of dead wood leading in the gutter and half on the...
Up there.
And it's another spare for Paul St. Pierre, so he's trying to make a statement in the second game.
Good shot, Paul. Come on. There you go, Scott.
The 2 and the 8 for Scott.
For the spare? No.
Oh. He thought he had it. I thought he had it. Everybody in the crowd thought he did. Paul St. Pierre says, nice try.
Paul's spare stands for now. We move to Bob Kelly. Bob's got 3 marks in a row here to start this second game. And with this fill ball, he has now pulled himself into a tie in the overall scoring as he just gets 2 on the half Worcester, and almost 4 in a row. Wow. He almost stole another one.
Be up to Tim Lipke to throw a strike to win the skin outright or a spare to tie it.
Now's a good time to march.
Tim looking for his first mark here in game 2.
Yeah, a strike would win him the skin.
Here it is.
Nope. Now he'll be looking to have the box with Paul St. Pierre. It's going to be tough, though, on the diamond.
Paul in the background, not even really watching. And it's Paul St. Pierre who'll pick up this one. Got a whole new bowling term.
That's right. They
merged.
get the cash register working.
Ching ching.
Down in the pit. A 9 for Tim. A $30 skin for Paul St. Pierre. He now has 5 skins in all for $60.
He's working on a spare now. He's quietly putting himself back into this match somewhat, but needed bigger fills than that. I'll give him 48, still trailing by over 20-some pins.
Oh, that will not help. This is box 5 of game 2. This is a $20 box. And it's a 7 for Paul St. Pierre. Bob Kelly still the overall leader in skins money today, $140. Paul St. Pierre and Scott Richardson with $60 each. Tim Lipke with $20.
Four horsemen left, plus the 9-pin for Scott. Oh. Chops out just the head pin.
No, a 10. Nice 10 for Scott Richardson. Bob Kelly now. It's a 9 drop. With 6 boxes to go in the match now, Bob and Scott are dead even, tied for first in overall pinfall. But of course, tied for first isn't as important as what's happening for second and third, because second stays, third does not. Spare for Bob Kelly.
Right now, Paul St. Pierre in third place, but 36 pins behind Scott Richardson.
Well, Tim needs a spare to have the box with Bob Kelly, and it's going to be a tall order here. This is a $20 box.
Make it.
Ooh, wow. So put $20 more into Bob Kelly's bank. He now has 5 skins for $160. Tim Lipke takes a 9, and we will take a break. When we come back, the last 5 boxes of the match, Bob Kelly and Scott Richardson in command in total pinfall. We'll be back in a minute. Paul St. Pierre, box number 6. Candlepin skins, our second week. Hope you're enjoying it. Hope you're understanding it. We appreciate your patience as we kind of work out all the little things that happen when you try something new on TV. Ooh, we're all kind of going through this together, so. That's a 7 box for Paul St. Pierre, his second in a row.
It's shaping up into just a 2-man race here, as it was right from the start. Scott Richardson, Bob Kelly out in front on the total pinfall, which determines who comes back next week.
That pin looks like it's going to be in play, but Cindy's system is going to go down and just take a look to make sure.
1, 8, and 9 for Scott.
For the spare. No. Cleared the wood out of the way.
Still out the 1, 8, and 9. Didn't he have to send Cindy down? He could take care of it himself. Oh, 8 leads the skin. If he wins with an 8, he should pay all the guys. He should split this one if he wins with an 8.
Bob Kelly is also filling a spare here. Oh,
Whoa.
with just 2. Tim Lipke just said, I got a chance. Oh, he was going for it.
Grab 9 on. Put the pressure on.
Well,
Needs a 9. No.
8 is halved right now, so Tim Lipke.
How much pressure is on Tim Lipke right now? He needs a 9 box for the skin.
Look at the smile. Tim's going to hate this box. I guarantee you that.
I picture a 1-5 in my mind.
This is a $20 box here.
Needs a 9 box.
He's just checking the scoreboard to make sure.
Yet still need a 9, Tim. You need 6 more with 2 balls.
Help. Send it over.
Well, let's see.
That's a break there.
Oh,
That's
it's
a big
still
break.
going. Oh, no.
You should have to call your shot like a pool now. Which one you taking?
Either one of these for $20. There it is. $20 skin for Tim Lipke with a 9 box.
I'll take it.
Steals $20.
Tim knows that it's going to be tough for him to get back next week in total pinfall, so he'll take the 20. Believe me. A $30 box now as we move to the 7th. Oh, how about this shot? Oh my!
Go back.
Oh, St. Pierre almost with a dandy right there.
Going the other way.
That piece of wood is out of play if it stays right there. Cindy has to wait until it stops. Let's see now. It's beginning to roll back.
Come on.
Nope, it's going to stay there. That'll be well out of play. So Paul will have the clean look at the 6-pin for the 10 box.
Hey, 10s are looking pretty good right about now after that last box.
Still, Scott Richardson and Bob Kelly lead in the overall pinfall. As you see, they had the 126 and 123 respectively in game 1. Scott Richardson punching through the middle a little bit, and he'll shoot at the 3, 4, 7, and 10.
All of a sudden here, the marks are few and far between.
And Bob Kelly, who was on fire, he had 9 marks in his first 15 boxes. The last 2 marks, though, he's had 2 fills.
Does he go for the 10 or the 9?
Oh, he went for the 9, and
Because he's got a comfortable lead in total pinfall, and he would try to have the box, figuring, well, maybe a 10's not enough to win anyways. However, Tim Lipke won one with 9 the last box.
lowest score to win a skin, by the way, in the 2 weeks, the 9.
Chance for Bob Kelly to take the lead in the skin with a spare.
Bob also has a slight overall lead in total pinfall over Scott Richardson. Oh, and he can't convert.
Needs this to tie for the skin. Tim Lipke will have to do a couple pins better than he did last time.
Just gets the 10 that time, does Bob Kelly. So right now 10s are halved, but Tim Lipke can win it with a mark.
And hasn't had one this game yet. You'd think he would be due.
Just slides by the head pin, but let's see.
Oh.
Well, he'll shoot at the 136.
This for the skin. Oh my!
Get out of here.
Well, how about another look at that?
250.
Oh my!
Miss the head pin twice and get a spare. That's a $30 skin for Tim Lipke. Because the ironic thing is, he's won the last 2 skins, but he's still in trouble. Total pinfall.
Oh, yuck. No, not bad.
2, 4, 5, 7 for a spare for Paul.
Nope.
No.
A lot of that going around.
And a 9 box. Well, Paul has hit a bit of a drought here, and neither he nor Tim Lipke have been able to make up any ground here in this second game. Of course, 2-game match, it's a lot tougher to make up ground. You got to do it quickly, especially if you're down 20 or more after one game, as those two guys were. Scott Richardson. Scott has now gone 6 boxes without a mark. And he'll take a 7.
Here we go with another one of those low boxes. 9 is leading the skin.
What's a mark?
I don't know. Right here, watch.
Bob Kelly. Look out, there's a strike. Bob Kelly's first strike of the match. And it'll be worth $30 unless Tim Lipke can match it.
Tim working on a spare. He really needs strikes if he's going to make any run at the total pinfall at all.
Well, Bob Kelly has himself a $30 skin. We've had 5 boxes in a row, 1 now. Haven't had any carryovers for a while. The 8 fill, of course, for Tim on the spare, and this spare could be critical for him. Yes, he's got it.
Still keeps his hopes alive.
You see, he was out of second place by 23 pins coming into this game, so he's got to make up that 23 pins on Bob Kelly. But now, really, Scott Richardson is in second place. Oh my, Paul St. Pierre right through the middle again. We've had only 2 strikes in this match. One by Scott Richardson that won a skin, and one by Bob Kelly that won a skin.
No luck, Paul.
That'll be an 8 box for Paul St. Pierre, and his hopes are about out, but of course there's still money to be won.
That's correct. That last box, that's a $50 box.
You have to
without
keep
carryovers.
You have to keep your head in it, even though you might be out of it, because you might be able to make some cash on the way out the door.
Going straight back.
See, Scott
Wood down there.
better not look over his shoulder. Mr. Lipke's making a move here.
Make it. Whoa.
That
Boy,
close.
That would have been a big spare right there.
Tim was trailing him by 26 pins after one game. He's lost another 6, so it gives him 32 pins behind. However, Tim is working on a spare when he comes up. Bob Kelly just about a shoe-in now, working on a strike.
And he'll have a spare opportunity on the triangle. 10 is high for the skin now. This is a $30 box, the 9th box. Yes, for the spare. On strike. So it'll either be a $30 skin for Bob Kelly, or perhaps Tim Lipke can do something about it.
Strike would take it away from Bob, and of course the strike would put his chances of catching Scott much closer. That's 8-pin drop.
Stay away.
Now he's down by 24. He's opposite Scott's 10 box. Can't afford to be open at all.
Yes, for the spare to have the skin. So the final skin of the day will be worth $80 as we carry over into the final box. Paul St. Pierre would like to put himself in contention for this $80 skin. He might be able to mix something up here.
Yeah, he's got a couple pieces of wood in front of the 5. He's got the 5, 6, 7, 9, and 10. No, he just missed the front piece of wood altogether. So,
well, one thing we can pretty much guarantee at this point is Bob Kelly is going to be back for a 3rd week. The question right now is, will Tim Lipke have enough time to catch Scott Richardson? He's going to have to throw a double strike probably in the 10th. 10 box for Paul St. Pierre. He finishes his day's work at $199. Scott Richardson now.
Scott wants to stay away from a bad frame.
Grandma's teeth.
How about this for a leave?
And know.
The 2, 5, 6, 8, and 9. Wow. Still got a mess up there.
That gives him 8.
A 105 and a 2-game total of 231.
So Timmy would need 132 to beat him, and he's at 109 clip right now.
Bob Kelly's last box. Bob is safely in for next week. And once again, Bob has done very well for himself with skins money. He made $210 last week. He's got 190 more this week.
And this $50 box is still up for grabs. Paul St. Pierre still leading with a 10 box. And Bob Kelly looking at the triangle in the left-hand corner, the 4, 7, 8, and the 10. Well, 10 box is looking pretty good right now. Tim Lipke. Of course, Tim's got to concentrate on a big fill and another mark.
8 for Bob Kelly, 132, a 2-game total of 255, which is exactly the same total he had last week. So Bob Kelly has rolled 255 twice with the same scores in the same order, 123 and 132. And that'll be worth an $80 skin if Tim Lipke can convert this for a spare. He will not be able to come back next week, though. He needed to have a strike.
No, needed a strike is right. But this for the skin.
But he's got an $80 skin, and he'll now finish out this mark to determine his final score, but he'll come just a little bit short. And he fills it with the 2 for a 120 and a 2-game total of 220. So as we kind of anticipated, it will be Bob Kelly finishing first with the 255, Scott Richardson second at 231. Bob and Scott will be back next week. We'll be back to talk to all 4 bowlers. Candlepin Skins rolls on in a minute. Welcome back to Candlepin Skins. We're halfway through now this interesting new format, and well, we've already seen how getting the highest score doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win the most money.
That's right. Timmy last week comes back. He only wins $60 last week. He comes back. This week he wins $150 and we say goodbye to him. You know?
But he got the money at the right time, and that's really what it's all about. The idea is to try and win as much as you can, but at least put yourself in a position where you're going to be able to come back.
That's right. And that total pinfall gives yourself a chance to win more skins the following week. So,
all right, we'll talk a little bit more about this and set you up for next week in a minute. But first of all, let's talk to our 2 bowlers who are not going to be returning. Tim Lipke and Paul St. Pierre will come on up first. Paul finishing 4th and Tim finishing 3rd. So we want to just get a quick word with each of you. Paul, I know you were kind of in the bad chair this time because you ended up with $60 in skins money though, plus $50 as a consolation gift, so $110. And how'd you enjoy it?
Pretty good. I just got to stay away from head pin on this game.
And Tim, now you can explain to us why you didn't make the money last week. You do it this time, but now you're not coming back.
Now I got to go home, so I don't know which is worse.
Well, again, very, very interesting watching not only the fact that you can win money but not come back, but also that the strategy that kind of plays into this too, because obviously bowling first is much different than bowling last now.
Yeah, there's no different. You make your own breaks. If you're on the head pin real good, they're going to fall. We were just on the head pin too well.
Well, we were all real proud of you for coming up with that 9 box to win that skin in the second game.
So was I.
Congratulations, guys. Thanks very much. We appreciate it. Thanks a lot. And now let's bring up Bob Kelly and Scott Richardson. Bob Kelly takes the number 1 spot with an identical score as last week with the same 2 scores in the 2 games. I don't know if you were aware of that. 123 and 132, again, for a 2-game total of 255. Scott Richardson with 231. Now, I know you liked this format after last week. Now you really got to be liking it. You've run your total up now to $400 with at least 1 more week to come.
Yeah, it's looking good, but you got to also watch your score because you can worry about the money, but you want to come back and keep bowling. So, you got to watch out for everything all around you.
Scott, you had a little struggle there in the second game, but you were able to hang on, and now you'll get a chance to come back and make more next week.
Yeah, hopefully I'll start hitting the head pin again. How much of that $400 did he take away from me?
A lot.
Do I get the ball after him this time? No.
Well, congratulations to both of you, and we'll see you again next week as we move along here on Candlepin Skins. Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it. And let's bring Dan Murphy in here for a final word, again, to set you up for next week. Bob Kelly and Scott Richardson will return, having been our 2 highest total pinfall scorers today. They will be joined, Dan, by our 2 incoming bowlers, Dave Richards and Jack Sanick, our numbers 7 and 8 seeds.
Well, 2 bowlers that we both know very well, and I'm sure people at home know very well, so it should be another interesting foursome.
That's right, exactly. And don't forget that tomorrow at noon here on The Winds, week 2 of our last singles ladder of the season. So until then, and until next week for more Candlepin Skins here from the Londonderry Bowling Center, for Dan Murphy and the whole Winds crew, I'm Doug Brown. Have a good weekend, everybody.